The class will start with problem 16-5. So the topic class is error correction. So it cannot be avoided that there may be errors in the entries that will be entered into the accounting system. So as a mechanism, accounting provides a way for us to correct these errors. And the problem here, class, is that you will not be able to figure out how to correct an error, class, if in the first place you do not know what the error is. And you will also not know what the error is, class, if you do not know what is the correct entry. So this topic, class, demands from you to have a knowledge on how to account for basic transactions, class. Because if you do not have that requisite knowledge, class, then definitely you will not be able to spot the error. And if you are unable to spot the error, then definitely you will not be able to correct the error, class. So knowing what is right will help you know what is wrong. Knowing what is wrong will help you correct the error, class. And some would say there's something you can memorize in order for you to know what to do, class. But at our level, because I want us to understand basically what's happening. So long as you know what should be done, so long as you can uh, spot the error, then you should be able to reverse the error, class, or correct the error. So as we solve the problem, I'll try to tell you what's going on behind so that you would have an understanding, so that you will not just merely rely on memorization, class. Because if you rely on memorization on what to do, it would be very dangerous, class. If you forget one, then everything else will crumble. It's safer for you to understand what is going on. Okay? And this leads us to problem 16-5. Okay, the question here is, what is the corrected income before tax? Uh, and then here the problem tells you that the income of the company is 5 million. Okay, but the 5 million is before any corrections were made for the accruals and prepayments that were not recognized at the end of the year. So here, what is the problem telling us? Does everyone have a copy of the scanned problems I am talking about? Okay. So here, the problem tells us that these accruals and prepayments were not recognized, were not done, were not recorded, class. Okay. But knowing that is not enough. I want you to understand what's going on. So first, the problem tells us that there is prepaid insurance that was not recorded. Okay? First thing I want you to settle, failure to prepaid insurance, class. Will this be an example of an accrual or a prepayment, class? Obviously, this is a prepayment. Okay? And if we're talking about prepayment, what must have happened before? The entity must have paid for something, class. Okay? So, in between the lines, class, the problem is telling us that the entity paid for insurance. I want that to be clear to everyone. Here, the problem is telling us that the entity paid for insurance. Okay? But what the problem is also telling us that by the end of the year, class, we have prepaid insurance. Okay? But what did we do? We failed to recognize prepaid insurance. So you now ask the question, if I paid in advance before, but by the end of the year, I failed to record prepaid insurance, what entry then did I prepare at the time that I made the payment? So this is the behind the scenes I'm talking about. If the problem tells you that you failed to recognize prepaid insurance, class, what does that tell you? That the entity must have made payments before. And as you should know, class, every time cash is involved, then an entry will have to be prepared. So you now ask yourself, class, at the time payment was made, what entry then was More than anything, class, your understanding of what's happening is what is most important to me, class. Okay. So if the problem tells you that we failed to recognize prepaid insurance, indirectly the problem is telling us that the entity must have made payments before. Of course, an entry should have been made at that time. So the question now is, what entry was prepared? Was it debit, prepaid insurance, and credit cash? Again, no issue on the credit. When we made the payment, the credit should be cash. So the question now is, what was the debit in the entry we prepared to record the payment? Was it prepaid insurance? Then at this point, you should be able to figure out already, class, that the answer is no. Because if at the time of payment you recorded prepaid insurance, then by the end of the year, we would not have failed to recognize prepaid insurance. So if the problem tells us that we failed to recognize prepaid insurance, what does that tell us? That at the time of payment, prepaid insurance was not recorded. Okay? With that knowledge, class, what do you think was the entry prepared, class, at the time of the payment? It would have been debit, insurance, expense, and credit, cash. So what does that tell us again? That the entity must have used the expense method for this transaction. Okay? The expense method and the asset method are your options in recording prepayments. Okay? And many of you will forget about that one because most of you would have last heard of that in your basic accounting. Okay? So again, from this information alone, we failed to recognize prepaid insurance in the amount of 200,000. That tells us, number one, payments were made before, and number two, at the time the payment was made, prepaid insurance was not debited. Instead, it was insurance expense. And if you now recall your basic accounting class, if you use expense method, what will happen at the end of the year? You will need to prepare adjusting entry to record the prepayments, to record the unexpired portion, class. Okay? Because at the time of payment, everything will be recorded, everything was recorded as an expense. Okay, but is payment the trigger point for the recognition of expense, class? No, it would be the use or the expiration of your insurance coverage. At the time of payment, the insurance has not yet expired. But again, accounting allows for the use of the expense method. But what will happen? If you do not make any adjusting entry, then your insurance expense will be overstated because you have recorded everything as an expense, and your asset will also be understated. Okay? So assuming everything was done correctly, what happened at the time of payment? Debit, insurance expense, and credit, cash. At the end of the year, what would have been done? You would have debited prepaid insurance and you credit insurance expense. So if you'll be asked what entry was not prepared for this transaction at the end of the year, the entry is debit, prepaid insurance, and credit insurance expense. Okay, what's the effect of that adjusting entry? It will be reducing the previously recorded insurance expense. But if the adjusting entry was not prepared, what amount of our expenses was included in the computation of your net income? The entire amount of payment. So if you fail, what then does that mean? If you fail to record the prepaid insurance, class, your insurance expense will be overstated, and ultimately that would mean that your net income is expense is over, so that means your net income would be understated. So the 5 million here then is understated by 200,000. Okay. So how do you, and this one, how do you correct an understatement? It should not be difficult for us, class. Okay, accounting students have the reputation of being good with analysis, class. And that is what this topic demands from you, to analyze, class. Okay. So we have already figured out that by our failure to record the prepaid insurance, what does that mean? We failed to adjust our insurance expense to reduce to the correct amount. And with that, our insurance expense that was included in the computation of your net income was overstated. And if your expense is overstated, that would mean that your net income is understated. Okay? So what should we do? How do we correct an understatement in our net income? Increase or add the amount of 200,000. Is it 220? 200,000. Okay? And that's the first thing you have to deal with. Next, accrued wages. By the way, what kind of account is your accrued wages? Is this an asset or a liability? This is a liability. Now, knowing whether an account is an asset or a liability class is also very important because it will tell you whether it should be debited or credited class. Accrued wages, what does this mean? Services were already rendered by our employees, and that means we already have an obligation to pay their salaries and wages. But what did we do? We have not recorded this accrued expense. If we fail to do that class, what happened? Or first, how do you recognize accrued wages class? What would be your entry? The goal here is to record the liability arising from the salaries and wages expense. So, if we did not make that failure to record this one at the end of the year, what would have been the entry, the adjusting entry? This would be debit, salaries expense, salaries and wages, and credit, accrued wages. Okay, so that would have been the entry. What's the effect of that entry class? Your salaries expense would increase and your liabilities would increase. But were we able to do that? No, because the problem told us that we failed to recognize accrued wages. But again, what should we have done? We should have recognized an expense and a liability. But since we did not, what then was the effect? Our salaries expense is understated and our liabilities are also understated. Okay, but focus on your salaries expense. What was our failure here? We failed to record salaries expense. If you fail to record salaries expense, what does that mean? Your salaries expense will be understated. So that means the amount included in your computation of net income for your salaries expense was understated. And what would be its effect on your net income? If salaries expense was understated, what is the effect on your net income? Net income was overstated. Okay, so that means, again, the net income is overstated. And how do you correct an overstatement in your net income? By reducing it equal to the amount of overstatement in your salaries expense. And how much is the understatement in your salaries expense class? 250. So you will have to deduct 250 from the 5 million. So far we have 5 million plus 200 minus 250. Third, rent revenue collected in advance. Okay, so here the problem tells us that we fail to recognize rent revenue for something that we have already collected. So what does this tell us? That sometime before we have already received cash. Similar to your prepaid insurance class, sometime before you have already made payment. On the revenue side class, this tells us that we have already made a collection before. Okay, so if we already made a collection before, what does that mean? An entry was prepared. And what entry do you think was prepared? Debit. Obviously, the debit would be to your cash. Okay, you made a collection before. What do you think is the credit? Do you think the credit is rent revenue? No, because if that was the case, then this error or this failure would not have been existing. So what do you think was the entry before? Debit, cash, and credit, unearned income or unearned revenue. And if that is your initial entry class, that means you have used the liability method. And what do you do at the end of the year? You adjust by reducing the liability and recognizing the amount of revenue that is already earned. So what is the adjusting entry at the end of the year? The adjusting entry should have been debit, rent revenue, and credit. And credit, sorry, it's wrong. Rent revenue should be credited. So the adjusting entry here should be debit, unearned revenue and credit, rent revenue. Okay, because again, what did we do when we made the collection? Debit, cash, and credit, unearned revenue. At the end of the year, what should we do? Record the portion that is already earned. And how do you do that? By debiting the liability, to reduce the liability, because that liability do not exist anymore because it is already earned. So again, our adjusting entry should have been debit, unearned revenue, and credit, rent revenue. But were we able to record that entry? The answer is no. And with that failure, what is the effect? Our unearned revenue account would be overstated and our rent revenue account would be understated. Because we failed to recognize rent revenue, our rent revenue is understated. So what does that mean? In the computation of your net income, the amount included there for your rent revenue is also understated. So if your rent revenue is understated in the computation of your net income, what is the effect on your net income? Net income would be understated as well. And this is now where you get confused if you simply memorize. Okay, the rules are different, class. You cannot have one rule lang if it's understated, one rule lang if it's overstated. It depends on what is understated or overstated. So for example, for your prepaid insurance, di ba, it was understated, but since it is the expense that is understated, then your income is overstated. Here, rent revenue is understated. The net effect to your net income would be net income is also understated. And how do you correct an understatement, class? By adding the amount of understatement. And how much would be the rent revenue that was not recognized, class? 300,000. So what do? We add the 300,000 to the uh, to the 5 million rent revenue collected in advance. Next, interest receivable. We failed to recognize interest receivable, so this would be failure for us to record interest income. Okay, interest income, the entry there should have been debit, interest receivable, and credit, interest income. Debit, interest receivable, and interest income. But since we failed to do that, class, what is the effect? Our interest income is uh, understated. And if our interest income is understated, class, uh, that means our net income would also be understated. And how do we correct an understatement, class? How do you correct an understatement in your net income? By adding. So you add the 100,000. So far, what do we have? 5 million plus 200 minus 250. And then, what did we do to the 300, class? We said we are going to add it, class. Add the 300 and the 100. So that's 56 minus 250. It's 5350. It's not in the choices. I think there's something wrong with our analysis with the rent revenue. Here, rent revenue collected in advance. So you fail to recognize rent revenue. If you fail to record rent revenue, fail to credit rent revenue. So rent revenue is understated. Ah. The suggested answer here is 4,750,000, but I think, and to get 4,750,000, you should be deducting the 300, but I don't want to do it, guys. Rent revenue collected in advance. And it says we failed to do that. The accrual and the prepayment. Debit, cash, credit, credit, and earned revenue. Debit and earned revenue, credit, rent revenue. So that means rent revenue. Ah, I really believe the 300 should be added. Let's hold off on problem 16-5 first. I'll go over the book. Maybe I'll be convinced otherwise and have it deducted. But as of now, it should be added. Let's proceed to 16-6. By the way, just take away from 16-5 class. This is where students would fail to realize RESBA. What is given in the problem are your accruals and your prepayments, which would come in the form of assets and liabilities. So many students would fail to realize how are these connected to your net income. Because if you're talking about assets and liabilities, how then does that affect your net income? Okay, so you have to understand, class, that your accruals and prepayments have partner expenses or revenues. For example, prepaid insurance. What's the partner for your prepaid insurance? Insurance expense. For your accrued wages, what is the partner for your accrued wages? You have your salaries expense, or simply your salaries and wages. For your interest receivable, what's the partner for your interest receivable? It would be your interest income. So understand, Kasa, that your accruals and prepayments have a connection to your net income. Let's have 16-6, and this is where most of the problems will revolve around your ending inventory. And here, because it's important that you know how to solve for your net income under a manufacturing or even for a merchandising lang class. Okay, what does that mean? It's important that you know how to solve for cost of goods sold. Because how do you solve for cost of goods sold? Start with beginning inventory, and then you add your net purchases. For this topic class, it's not important for you to remember the components of your net purchases. But of course, in your part class, it would be integrated class. So let's just briefly talk about it. How do you get net purchases class? Gross purchases minus uh, purchase discounts, purchase returns and allowances, and other adjustments. But do not forget to add what? How do you get your net purchases? Do not forget to add your freight in. Okay? To get your net purchases, gross purchases minus purchase discounts, purchase returns and allowances, but do not forget to add freight in. Okay? But for this topic, what do we need? We just need net purchases. So in solving for cost of goods sold, we start with beginning inventory. You add net purchases. And what will you get when you add those two? Beginning inventory and net purchases. You would get total goods available for sale, or our tigas. Okay? And then once you have your tigas, what do? Deduct your ending inventory. Once you deduct the ending inventory from your tigas, you will already have your cost of goods sold. Okay? And why is cost of goods sold relevant, class? Because cost of goods sold is needed in the computation of your net income. Okay? So here in 2018, what happened first in 2018? Let's accumulate all the effect. Let's ask for the needed adjustment to our retained earnings. Okay? Whatever would be the error in our uh, net income class, those would be carried or close to your retained earnings. So if your net income is erroneous, then your retained earnings would also be erroneous. So 2018, what happened in 2018? Ending inventory is understated. Now you will have to go back. And many students would get this wrong because the analysis is quite long class. So if ending inventory is understated class, meaning the amount that you deducted from the tigas is lower than what it should be, what then would be its effect on your cost of goods sold? Again, if ending inventory is understated, what will be its effect on your cost of goods sold? If you're deducting a lesser amount, then that means your cost of goods sold would be overstated. Cost of goods sold would be overstated. And if your cost of goods sold is overstated, class, what would be its effect on your net income? If cost of goods sold, which is deducted to your revenues to solve for your net income, if cost of goods sold is overstated, what is its effect to your net income? If cost of goods sold is overstated, the net income would be understated. Okay, and if net income is understated, what will happen to your retained earnings class? What's the effect of net income to retained earnings? Does income increase or decrease retained earnings? Increase. So if net income is understated, what does that do to your retained earnings? Retained earnings must also be understated. Can I borrow marker? So for 2018, so far, we have, how much is the understatement class? What other error happened in 2018? Depreciation is understated. So if depreciation expense is understated, that means our total expenses would be understated. And if your total expenses is understated, that means what's the effect on net income? If expenses are understated, income would be overstated. By how much? 50. So what then is the net effect on our net income in 2018? Our net income was understated by 150,000. And if your net income is understated, class, if net income is understated, what will be the effect on the retained earnings? Retained earnings would also be understated by 150,000. Okay? And how do we correct that understatement? Increase retained earnings or net income by 150,000. Is that in the choices class? No, because what is being asked is cumulative from up to 2020. Let's proceed to 2019. And this is where students could also get it wrong, class. How many adjustments did we have in 2018 class? We have 2. But in 2019, we will now have 3 class. And again, this is where students will forget. The ending inventory in 2018 class will become the beginning inventory in 2019. Okay? And why is that relevant? Because your beginning inventory is a component also of your cost of goods sold. Okay? So we'll have to analyze. Beginning inventory plus net purchases will give you your tigas. Tigas minus ending will give you your cost of goods sold. Okay? In 2018, ending inventory was understated. So what does that mean? In 2019, beginning inventory would also be understated. What does it mean if your beginning inventory is understated, class? So you go back. If beginning inventory is understated, what will happen to your tigas? What will happen to your tigas? Tigas would also be understated. And if tigas is understated, class, what will happen to your cost of goods sold? Cost of goods sold would also be understated. And if cost of goods sold is understated, what will happen to your net income? Net income would be overstated. How much is that? Was it the 200? Again, going back, what's the scenario in 2019? Beginning inventory is understated by 200. So, if beginning inventory is understated by 200, tigas would also be understated. If tigas is understated, that means cost of goods sold would also be understated. But if cost of goods sold is understated, its effect on your net income would be opposite. So that means your net income is overstated by 200,000. Okay, but aside from that, we have other errors for 2019. And what is that? That would be your ending inventory. Okay, what happened to your ending inventory? It is overstated. So we again analyze. What's the involvement of your ending inventory into the computation of your cost of goods sold? It is to be deducted. But the amount we are deducting is overstated. The amount we deducted from tigas is overstated. So what would be the effect on your cost of goods sold? Cost of goods sold would be understated. Cost of goods sold would be understated. And if cost of goods sold is understated, class, what does that mean? Your net income would be, cost of goods sold is understated, so net income would be overstated. By how much? 300. Because in answering this kind of problems, class, I would really want you to be talking to yourselves a lot, class. During the exam, it's good if I can see you talking to yourselves. What else happened? Depreciation is overstated. So that means total expenses is overstated. If expenses are overstated, what will happen to your net income? Net income would be understated by how much? 100,000. So what's the net effect on your, what's the net effect to your net income in 2019? Over by 500 and then minus 100. So over by 400,000. So from your 2019 operations alone, class, from your 2019 operations alone, retained earnings as an extension of your net income would be overstated by 400. So what are you supposed to do here? How do you correct an overstatement 400, class? How do you correct an overstatement of 400? By decreasing. Okay? And then how do you correct an understatement of 150? By increasing. So what's the net change here? We need to decrease it by 400 and increase it by 150. So that means we will have to decrease it by 250,000. So the answer there would be bravo. Okay, that's if you did the correction individually, class. But there's something you're supposed to know so that it will help your analysis, class, and that is your counterbalancing errors. If you'll notice here, class, these came from the understatement in the ending inventory 2018. Do you follow? And this one is the understatement also. Is it understatement? Understatement of your beginning inventory. These pertain to the same inventory class. Ending inventory in 2018, beginning inventory in 2019. After the lapse of 2 years, class, that error would already counterbalance. Even if we completely ignore this one, for both years, class, we will still arrive at the same amount of correction. Meaning, this would be 50,000 lang overstatement, and then this one would be 200 overstatement. So what would be the net change here? It's overstated by 250, so that means we'll have to decrease it by 250. Okay? That's the nature of an error in your ending inventory class. After two closing period class, it will already correct by itself. Okay? But this is where you will have to be careful, class. If the question lang is December 31, 2019, the error has not yet counterbalanced, class. Okay? But why is it by January 1, 2020, it has already counterbalanced? Because two closing periods have already passed. Okay? So if you're asked in 2019, is this error already corrected by December 31? The answer is no. Okay, the counterbalancing error will only take effect after two closing periods. Again, you practice on problems more first before you try to adopt the application of your counterbalancing error. You can still arrive at the correct answer by individually going over the errors. Let's have the next problem. Okay, question here is what is the effect of the errors on retained earnings on January 1, 2020? During 2019, Paul Company discovered that the ending inventories reported in the financial statements were incorrect by the following amounts. 60,000 understated and 2019, 75,000 overstated. Prior to any adjustments for these errors and ignoring income tax, what is the effect of the errors on retained earnings? uh, I'm tempted to skip immediately to 2019 class. But let's practice na lang. 2018. What happened in 2018? Ending inventory is understated. What is the effect? Because you have to keep on talking to yourself in class. What is the effect if ending inventory is understated? The amount deducted to your tigas is understated. That means cost of goods sold will be overstated. Because you cannot just say, I will just figure that out once I answer the problem. You have to practice doing this. So again, ending inventory is understated. That means cost of goods sold would be overstated. And if cost of goods sold is overstated, that means net income must be understated by 60,000. Net income is understated by. Next, that's the only error in 2018. Let's proceed to 2019. How many errors will we have in 2019? We will have two class, not just the 75, but also the 60. Because again, the ending in 2018 will be the beginning in 2019. Again, this is one of the things that students would forget. They will only focus in 2019 without realizing that the ending inventory in 2018 has an impact on the cost of goods sold computation for 2019. So what does this mean? The beginning inventory in 2019 is understated. So if beginning inventory is understated, the gas is understated as well. That would mean your cost of goods sold would be understated. And if your cost of goods sold is understated, what does that mean? Your net income is overstated by 60 also. So for 2019, as a result of the error in your beginning inventory, your net income would be overstated by 60. Next, what else? What other error do we have in 2019? We have overstatement of the ending inventory. Okay, what's the effect, class, if ending inventory is overstated? If the amount deducted to your tigas is overstated, that would mean cost of goods sold is understated. If cost of goods sold is understated, that would mean net income would be overstated. By how much? 75. So for 2019 class, total misstatement is how much? 135,000 overstatement. And then for 2018, 60,000 understatement. Since you're asked for retained earnings, you get the net effect of these two misstatements in your 2018 and 2019 net income. How much is the net amount for 135 and 60 class? 135 minus 60 will give you 75. And which one is greater, the overstatement or the understatement? Overstatement. So the net effect here would be that your retained earnings would be overstated by 75,000. Now, do you think the error in 2018 has already counterbalanced, class? The answer is yes. Okay, two closing periods have already passed. The closing period in 2018 and the 2019 was also closed already. That means, class, our analysis could have been very short lang, class. Remove this 60, remove this other 60. So that the net effect will just be 75,000 overstatement. Okay, but again, whether you are familiar with counterbalancing error or not, you can still arrive at the correct answer by going over all the errors individually.